maybe my shooters are feeling too much pressure. I'm not sure it was the Michigan defense. Maybe it was. I'm sure they'll credit themselves for it. Maybe it is. I have to watch the film. But bottom line is we're not making enough shots to win. We're not making enough jump shots. We didn't make enough jump shots the other night. And right now we're not turning that around and getting enough to stops. We did it for a while in the second half, but we're not getting enough stops to overcome the misses that we're having. And again, we got some guys aren't close to healthy, but still that doesn't have anything to do with the setups and the cuts and setting your man up and being ready to knock down shots. And so not a great performance by any stretch, though I always felt like we were in it to the very end because you felt like the lid was going to come off the basket for us at some point. But we made too many mistakes, and it starts with the overhelping defensively. It starts with that we didn't control the ball well enough, and our rotations weren't as good, and then we're still making some of the same mistakes with guys overhelping off corners because they overreact to the ball. And so our maturity's got to raise, and I'm in here for as I need to get to work and continue to figure out more ways that this team can compete on the defensive end and find easier ways to get them baskets. So go ahead.
With 4 of 5 on the road now, how do you turn around?
You know what, Terry? I mean, you've been around me for 9 years, right? I'm really not going to think much past today, okay? So I appreciate that question, but I'm kind of locked into what we're going to have to do now. I really can't jump ahead, unfortunately.
Tom, since Anunoby went down, I don't even know the record off the top of my head, but obviously it's been a struggle. Why do you think this team has had such a hard time filling his shoes?
Immaturity in the backcourt. We don't play both ends of the floor with the same purpose that we have to play when our shots aren't going. And we've had injuries in there too, but that's got to change.
Tom, again, the turnovers were a problem. I know you've been working on it. Is it possible to fix it? Or this team, is this team's like...
You're asking me a hypothetical. I hope so. I mean, in all honesty. I mean, I hope so. But we've got to find ways to get easy baskets. And so the problem becomes we were working so hard to get the ball inside in the first half, and they were backing off of our guys, right? And so all of a sudden we get it in, and now we stand like we've never played basketball before. Rather than cut, space, fill, go cut, fill in behind it, get a crown on the backside, the things that we do, and we just can't, Thomas Bryant is working his tail off to become a leader of the team. And he needs a little more help. And so that's not an answer to your question, but it is part of what our issue is with the turnovers. And he's committing some turnovers and things like that as well. But I really don't want it to be to a place, especially when you're not shooting the ball as well, then you're going to get more collapsed defenses like we have today, where we just say, okay, we got to go in every possession. And because this team is not going to be good enough to do that if we don't get easy baskets, if we don't get out on the break and run, if we don't space and play. But we've got to figure something out because I don't want to I'm not trying to take the confidence we shoot every day. I mean, that we constantly shoot. We haven't done anything different in our time here. You know, we've led the league, we've led the country, we've led the BCS in the last 5 years in three-point field goal percentage. It doesn't look like that right now. So I don't want to be in a panic, but we got to continue to figure out, okay, those shots aren't going. Now, some of it is ridiculous setups of cuts. It just absolute remedial nonsense. And that I'm just trying to bite my tongue here, all right, and so I can get to work. But some of that doesn't make a bit of sense. But we have been a very, very good shooting team, and we still have some very good shooters out there. And again, our ball screen coverages and things like that weren't nearly as good. But at some point in time, the window's got to crack on like we're going to have a little bit real leadership during the game. And at some point in time, we're going to communicate. I know a lot of you have fun with those signs, and that's fine. I can wear a lot. I took the Wagner hit. God jumped right up. I hope I get some credit for that. Didn't even bat an eye, all right? All right, and but I'm trying to be proactive. I'm not shirking responsibility when I own it. It all falls on me. I mean, if there's one thing I've learned in 9 years, it all falls on me. But the bottom line is that we've got to do something to get communication up. And when the shots aren't going is when the communication's got to be even higher. Because it's very easy to have communication. It's very easy to be locked in and connected to one another when the shots are going. But when they aren't going is when real leadership's got to emerge. And we're not having as much of that right now.
Tom, what else do you need to see from James Blackman?
You know, I don't even, Bob, we all got to play better, every one of us. So I can't single it out right now. It's not been a great week for him. I mean, obviously, he's coming back off the injury, but he can play better, and he's going to have to.
Tom, what did you like about what you got from Deron Davis?
He played very well considering the shot that he took, couldn't return in the game the other night. He took a real hit, and he didn't do anything with us really on Friday, but he was better yesterday. And you know, we got to continue to play him more, right? And he's not as great in the ball screen coverages, so that sometimes limits some of that. But he's very, very hard to guard, and he's got great feet, great hands, great eyes. He can pass the ball, and we don't really want him to do a lot of passing right now. And we're not getting enough cuts to get those passes. So I love the way that he played. And I know it wasn't Thomas's night, but I feel for him a little bit because he's really since the who asked the question about Anunoby? When that happened and we knew he was out, he stepped it up. When Blackman went out after Michigan, he took it to a whole other level with his leadership, and it's obviously played out on the court for the most part. Not as much today, but he's a 19-year-old guy trying to find his own game and trying to lead a group of guys that really he should be getting a little more help, and I've got to give him more help, obviously. And so this is one of those nights. It's back to the drawing board a little bit on how we're going to continue to score points and how we're going to make. We defended very well for the most part the other day. Defended pretty well against Wisconsin other than some of the post action. And our rotations weren't as good today defensively, which gave them some open shots. But again, like I said at the beginning, we're coming off. We were just, it makes no sense to be coming off the corners the way that we are with some of the guys that we have out there. Yeah, that's not what we do. I mean, we guard the ball. We don't overhelp because of teams like Michigan that can shoot the ball so well.